Hello, good evening, and welcome, as one of the old stars of TV used to say. What's the idea behind tonight's broadcast? Truthfully, don't know. I've come on here, and my inspiration for coming on tonight is that I've been reading a lot about how to promote yourself again. I've been doing courses, I've been studying YouTube videos, I've been doing a lot of research. And basically, what it comes down to is you can't keep making excuses for non-progression if you're not actually doing anything. So I say the same thing that I say every single time that I come on here, that I can only be on here as long as you guys want me on here. The format of my little show is going to be question and answers. If you want anything, if you want a card pulling. And the thing is about me is I'm always honest. I'll always give you the answers to the best of my abilities. I thought I'd just do a little bit of a recap of what's happened. Hi, Gemma. Hope you're well. I thought I'd just do a bit of a recap there and just let people know how this season's been. So I've just finished last Sunday what I consider my spiritual season. There is one potential event subject to the amount of people booking in that will decide whether that was my last event this weekend, or whether we're going to wait till 2024. Don't really know. So I just thought that, say, come on here, and this is a test for me as well, because what I want to do is promote myself. I mean, I'm so grateful for having guys like the wonderful Gemma there that is supporting me, and CatScan there. Thank you. And from what I'm seeing, it's about building things up. It's I was look at that, perfect timing. That's what I like to hear, Nicola. Thanks very much. So I've come on here, and when I did the Facebook link one the other week, I was inundated with spammers and scammers. Right now, this is where we have to get real. I understand now that I've got to do that to get more people to subscribe to it. But tonight I just thought, I'm not really in the mood for dealing with all of that sort of thing. So I thought, I'll come on YouTube, and everybody, and this is what I've been reading about today, everybody has got to start from zero. So I'm at 155, I think, as of today, because it'll go down again because there was some of these digital marketers that come on and, for a good price, we can advertise and we can help you do it. Well, the last couple of days have been a bit expensive, with the car being a bit naughty and going through. So it's been a bit frustrating, but there you go. We're still alive and we're still breathing. So hiya, Patricia. Hope you're well. Hiya, I hope you're well. And I hope your career, your budding career. So any of you guys on here, if you want to go and like and subscribe to Embracing Aging, you'll be in for a treat there, and somebody who supports me and guides me, and I'm really grateful for that. It's been a brilliant time this year. So I have really enjoyed pretty much everything that I've done on the spiritual side. It's been very interesting. I've been up down the country. I've been up as far as Newcastle and down as far as Stonehenge reading this year. And the support I've been receiving has been absolutely fantastic. I did an event a while back, and in the middle of the demonstration, somebody just said, "Can I make a point?" Well, I don't know if anybody of you guys on here has ever done a demonstration where somebody says, "Can they make a point?" My heart was in my mouth for a brief second. And I said, "Yeah, sure," because I knew the guy had been to me for a reading. But what I wasn't expecting was to be sort of put under the microscope there with a bit of light shining on me, where he turned around and he went, "Right, anybody who's watching this that is wondering whether to have a reading with this guy, don't hesitate, go and do it." And I was a little bit taken aback, because what I tend to find, I don't know about you guys yourself, but if I receive criticism, right, when I get criticism, I think, right, I can improve on that. I can structure, rethink, analyze a little bit, and then change the output. I can't change the events that have gone past, but I can learn from them and go through. So as that is one of my key structures, my core programming, then I take that on board, that if there's a criticism, if somebody's paid the money, then they're entitled to have that opinion. And then if you get an extreme compliment, I find it a little bit difficult to process, because it's just like, right, where do you go from there? So people there have been absolutely amazing. So he delivered this sincere compliment, and I did what I usually do and laughed it off, and laughed at it, and said, but I said thank you, because this is what I've learned. So I've dealt with all sorts of people there that have go through all of the thought processes. So you get the people that are confident, that want a reading just to sort of validate what they're going through and what they're dealing with. You'll get the people there that are opposite end of the scales, that are totally stuck and they're looking for an answer. Now, the first thing I always do, now I love my tarot cards, please do not mistake this, but tarot cards are not the be all and end all. And what I want to do with my work, and what I've had the fortune to do this year, is to sit with people and work with their energy first, and then work with the tarot cards to bring in, well, to shed a light on things, to bring in some clarity. But I don't 100% rely on them. They're part of the toolbox. So a lot of the work that I've watched and witnessed on other people that are doing readings and this sort of thing now, I'm just going, right, are you actually 100% working for your clients, or are you working for the pats on the back and to be told that you're really, really good at what you do? Because truthfully, and I can sit here in front of the audience of you guys that sat on here, I am not interested in whether I'm any good or not. I'm really not. And that is as true as I can sit here. What I want to do is to get my work out to a wider audience. What I care about is clients. What I care about is people's energies. So as I sit and work with people, I'm already processing where I feel that there might be some improvements. And what I do is I tend to feed back to people, because I've had no end of counselling personally myself, and I don't have a go at counsellors or anything like that, because they've all got the place. But what I found for me personally was to regurgitate huge chunks of information and then give it back to you in a different order. Now, it works for some. It didn't work for me, because I just closed up. I just clammed up. I didn't want to reprocess some hurtful experiences. But what I want to do with people is to work with their energy at their current level of understanding. Where are they at? How have they got to that point? And then I will bring in spirit and utilize that. Now, when I've come to working with this channel was actually set up to help spiritual counseling and guidance. Now, the numbers have gone static. So I've done a bit of research and I've asked one or two people, and what they've actually said to me is give the people what they want, right? And where I get an audience is for the tarot readings. It is for the connection with the angels, and on odd occasions the mediumship that comes through, because people want that connection. So going forward, that's what I'm working on. You'll notice there's a slight name change on the channel, and the reason that is being done is to reflect what I believe will pull people in, because it's all right me telling the story of being the urban angel, but thank you. Right, so that's brilliant. Yeah, I really love that as well. But is that going to take me further forward? Because as I say, once this channel started and I started advertising it, the numbers shot up really quick, and now I've gone really, really static at 150. And I think what it is because when people look at the channel, yes, they'll see me in my finery, but it was a bit mixed, because my heart is in helping people with whatever problems that they've got. But it's a very, very difficult product to sell. So I've analysed my products as well as I'm working. I'm a guide, and to give you a bit of a background where I believe that I've actually gone, just another hello there, where I've actually gone with things is that I had a dream. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? I have a dream a few months back, and I was asleep, right? And for people that don't know me, I like my sleep. I'm a grumpy git without sleep. You know, if I've not had my full 8 hours, I'm Mardy. And for those of you, if you're from the other side of the pond and not sure what Mardy is, it's the Lincolnshire saying round here where we're a bit moody and we're a bit grumpy. So if I don't get my full sleep, I don't enjoy it. I don't enjoy my day. I can get quite grumpy in an instant. So this voice goes off in my head and went, have you got it yet? And I would look round. Have you got it yet? And this is going off. I'm assuming I'm in dream state because I'm not consciously aware of what's going on. And I went, no. Have you got the message yet? No. Right. So I'm looking around and trying to process what's going on in my mind there. And this voice said, do you know who you are? Have you got the message? And I'm still like struggling for this. So I thought, do what you can do. Listen, stop and listen. Notice the signs and the synchronicities. And what this voice said was that I'm an angel, which I found funny. Because if I'm an angel, I'm a fallen angel. And I'm one of those angels with dirty faces. Because I'm not very fluffy and feathery. And I don't consider myself very angelic. But like I approach everything with a sense of humor. So I asked the question again, you know, what is the reference for being an angel? And what my guides, my inspirers told me is I am here to light the pathway for other people. The angelic side of it is the earthbound link between the spirit world and the earth world. And it's to promote people. And what it talks about is going back into parts of people's pasts, the things that they can remember, and when they've suffered trauma or difficulty or anything like that, is to work with their energy so that they can pick up any parts of their soul that they've left behind. And they, you can imagine, laid there at 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever it was when the time was, that I found all of that quite perturbing, a little bit like all over the place. But what I found this year is that has been the case, that I'm a support crew. I'm not a star. I never have been. I've always been one that throughout my jobs, I'm on the support crew. I want to promote people. I want to help people. And it turns out to be that it can be in whatever way that you want to do it. And like with everything, you sometimes have to start from scratch. So I'm absolutely over the moon with people. I find it really exciting that I'm picked as part of their crew. Sometimes, though, giving people what they want does not work if your heart is not in it. Do what you want on the channel. Right, Gemma, yeah, right. I'll answer that directly. Right, where all of this started, where we've got a little bit of a change. So if you've noticed, I've started putting a couple of odd videos on because I did a demonstration recently, and the feedback that came back was the stories that I told while I was on stage, that people were genuinely interested up to a point. What they wanted to know about was the inner workings of the prison system, what my experience wasn't like in the prison. But I'm kind of like a storyteller when I'm working live, that I work with all aspects of my toolbox. So any skills that I've got there, any stories that I've got to tell could come through any point of my 51 years on this wonderful planet. And I agree with what you say on there. But if you're a professional that's looking to earn money, sometimes you have to give the customer what they want. So that got stuck in my mind. I got a little bit like bogged down with it. Anyway, I read this book. I can't remember what the book was now, so it must have had a major impact on me. And essentially, this guy who's got a very successful YouTube channel said, post what you want, because essentially people don't care. So there is an aspect of it where that I am dealing with people at this direct level, just being the unique and personable person that I am. But there's got to be an end product. And the end product is that I want to monetize this channel eventually. And I'm a long, long way off. So I'm placing with the format. You see, where my heart is spiritual counseling and guidance. But what I've made my 6-year career out, for want of a better word, is out of doing tarot cards and readings. My heart's in all of it, but essentially what I want to do is the task that I believe Spirit have given me. So I will learn off everybody. So you're a great example, Gemma, that you started from scratch and you've now got a successful format. Yes, I've watched where you get people that disagree with you and you've got spammers and what have you, but you deal with them all. And I think that's absolutely amazing how you control your channel. But if you imagine that the baby here, I know I'm a bit old for a baby, but the baby there has got to go from this crawling space to this standing up space and then taking their first wobbly steps. The thing is about me, bluntly, I'm a piss taker, right? I love to have a laugh and a joke with people and use my sense of humor. I've got 1,000,001 different stories from the prison service and the other jobs that I've done, because I've had a wildly eclectic career. I really have, 30 different jobs since 1988, because I don't settle. The one thing that has been consistent in my life is having the ability to make people laugh. Sometimes over the years it's been inappropriate, but I've always managed to draw humor out of some of the most difficult situations that could surround a person. So in that respect, I'm giving of me. I'm not giving what the people want. I just feel that energetically that will draw in the right audience. But I'm new to all of this. So the idea behind putting on these videos or these presentations is the hope at some point that when I look back, I'll go, oh God, I didn't quite get that right. But at least I'm here to have a go. So I don't understand what it was. I'm just offering my thoughts. I've experienced the same set. Yeah, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate that. So coming on here tonight, it's a small audience and it's a manageable audience, right? So the format is, like I say, that I'll be on here as long as you're on here, guys. Ask me any questions about my spiritual development. Ask me questions about the prison service. Ask me about my life, my experience. Oh, I don't know if I've ever mentioned it. I was nominated twice for an award for my mediumship, which I just find so surreal. That somebody could put me through for this award. I didn't win, but I had the experience of standing on stage in front of a large audience and being in the place of being judged. But what I always find amusing about that is that I will always say the same thing if you come for a session with me, that there is nobody in this world that is capable or qualified of judging you in any way, shape or form. That honour and that title goes to yourself. So when I stood up there, yeah, it would have been nice if I'd have won, because hopefully it would have generated me some more work, but it didn't. So I'm just like really, really happy to be on here and performing. So before I take questions and things like that, what I'll just talk about very briefly. So I don't know if you guys and anybody here is young enough to remember what their school days were like. And I'm taking you back to when I was about 8 years old, I think 8, 9 years old. And on where I live, in the estate where I live, we had the first school and then we had the middle school before going on to the secondary school. Now, the middle school, we sat there and we're doing this exercise and everybody was asked to sit quiet when the teacher came round and said, right, today's exercise is we're going to discuss what you want to be when you grow up. Right, so it went round the whole circle of people and they were talking about firemen. Some wanted to go in the army, some wanted to be doctors, some wanted to be nurses, all of this sort of thing. And as usual, half paying attention, it comes round to me and I'm a bit on the spot. I've studied comedy for a long, long time and I love being that feeling of being laughing, that uplifting feeling. Sometimes when you have that laughing moment that you just can't control your giggles. I love that. I think it's amazing. So it gets round to me and they said, what do you want to be when you grow up? And my answer was so unconventional because I wanted to be a stand-up comedian. And that's what I told them. I want to be a stand-up comedian. So I find it quite ironic that sort of 40 odd years later that I do approach going on stage now. And one of the things that I bring in, despite the seriousness of the situations that people have experienced or are going through, is I want to make people laugh. I want to bring in upliftment. And it, like I said on a previous video, if that's just laughing at what I come out with, some weird phrase or saying, or some way that I put myself across, or just laughing at me because I'm making a prat of myself, I don't care, because I'm looking at bringing in that upliftment and raising that vibration wherever I go. Right, so let's just answer this question. Did you ever give readings to people in the prison service? Gemma, truthfully, no. Right, because this journey for me only started after I left the prison service. I haven't done a full video on it yet, but basically, so to cut it down into a manageable chunks here, I was in hospital 2013 with a kidney stone. Very stressed, very anxious, struggling with a lot of depression, and not in a good state mentally at all. So this is where the root cause of was a riot at the Lincoln prison, and I'd gone on from Lincoln prison to go to a place called Stockham, where I did a further 6 years, and it was like some of the old ghosts were coming to haunt me. Well, I got to the place where I didn't want to keep sitting in with management and talking about old problems and things that wouldn't go away. So I started to recognize some of the dark sides coming in. So as I'm in hospital with this kidney stone, I met this gentleman that had got not very long left to live. He'd got terminal cancer. And we got talking, and what he said to me was, can I just offer you a piece of advice? And I said, yes. He said, don't sweat the small stuff. And I thought, well, yeah, okay, it's good advice, but sometimes the answers come out of your mouth quicker than you want them to. And I just thought, easier said than done. So the next morning, he was coming back across from the washroom, and he pitched forward and was basically dead on impact. And it set through this shockwave. Even talking about it, even all of these years on, still puts that shiver through me. That a few hours before we'd been talking about don't sweat the small stuff, and then he'd gone. And I got back to work, and was stood there, was met by a colleague who I'd not seen for a while. And he came up to see me and said, welcome back. It's nice to see you back. How are you doing? And I said, well, you know what I'm like. I said, I stress and whittle and worry about all sorts of crap that I can't do anything about. I said, but that's just me, isn't it? I said, I'm going to have to do something at some point. I said, what about you? I've not seen you for a while. Anyway, it turns out that he'd got cancer, and that he'd not got very long left to live, and he was being medically retired, which was a bit of a strange one for me. So what I said to him was, oh, it's nice to see you, but what else do you say to somebody like that? But all of these things had started to stick in my mind now that, you know, I'd had one message and then the second message. Anyway, shortly after that, without giving you the long drawn out story, I left the prison service. And I decided in my infinite wisdom that what I was going to do at 42 years of age with a bad back was to be a plasterer. So I went to college for a year to do a diploma in plastering. And to do that, I had to supplement my income by working on building sites. And I went on to this one particular building site, and all my job was to clear away stuff for other contractors. When they got any waste or whether they was bringing any kit in, I would load out for them. Anyway, there I am, normal form, right? And it's important at this point to tell you guys that I don't drink, I don't smoke, or do any drugs or anything like that. And it will become relevant in a minute why I said this. So I looked up, and in the corner of this room where I was stood, it was actually a garage outside, and there was my granddad. Now, my granddad was a very, very shall we say character? Shall we put it that way? He was a character. And he had a very distinct look about him, ex-military, over 6 foot, still ramrod straight, even very late on in years, had a cap on, and we had what we call over here his cadging bag, which basically meant that he'd go out and he'd scrounge and he'd do deals and things like that. I've told this story so many times, I fondly remember riding around with a ton of on top of a ton of turnips that he'd done a deal with a local farmer. He was that sort of guy. So for anybody who knows Del Boy, he'd do a little bit of wheeling and dealing with people. He was good like that. So I looked up and saw him in the corner of that room, which is nothing out of the ordinary until you consider that he was actually being past 10 years. And that had set on the whole trail of events. So that was 2013. Late 2013 was when the first time that I went into the spiritualist church, and it's all gone on from there. So it's been a massive journey where I've learned through various teachers. I've sat in spiritual circles. I've written a book, and I've also had the opportunity to appear on stage now numerous times. I do readings for people at their houses. I do readings on here. And what I do is I don't make out that I'm anything magical. What you see with me is what you get. I'm blunt, direct, and honest. But no, I never got any readings for people in the prison service. But what I did see once or twice, and now I understand that as spirit, is I saw the spirit form walking by me when I was doing nights and things like that. And there's quite a few tales of that I could talk about as well in a later broadcast. So I hope that answers the question for you. Right, let me just have a look there. My husband is a master of inappropriate humor. I often have to kick him. Oh, honestly, there's just sometimes where you deliver something and your humor's 40 miles down the road ahead of where you should be. And to give you a very brief one, I did a demonstration for somebody in the north of the county, and I pick up the card that was either the 5 or the 7 of swords. I can't remember exactly which one. And I've just got this image in my mind. And I look around the audience, and there's a young lass sat there, phone sort of like this. And I came to her. And this is what the trouble is with having spiritual Tourette's and not being able to pull the handbrake on before you've actually thought what you've said. And I looked at her, and this voice went off like a gunshot in my head that went, "You need to switch your dickhead magnet off," right? Which is not an appropriate thing to say on stage in front of a room full of people that you don't know. But as per usual, with the gob on a stick here, that came shooting out of my mouth, and I delivered that to this young lass. You need to switch your dickhead magnet off. Now, as it left my mouth, I'm like wanting to rake it back in because I thought I could have dealt with that a little bit more subtler, or I could have put that in a different way. Anyway, so as the words left my mouth, her phone rings, and she goes, "It's him." So spirit in their strange way rescued me with that, because she understood the reference of the message. She also understood where it was coming from as well. Now, afterwards, I got some negative feedback from somebody that was sat in the audience that didn't appreciate that. But then again, you look at the size of the audience, which is 30 or 40 people. You get one complaint that's been voiced to you. It's law of averages, unfortunately, that nobody's perfect. So, yes, it's a strange old world that we live in. It appears we have to hit rock bottom before we can move on with our spiritual journey. Right. Now, this is an interesting one, Patricia, because my thoughts with this one is what I call the vortex moment, right? And I've still not quite got a satisfactory answer to this. So if you do research on Dark Night of the Soul moments, Dark Night of the Soul moments talk about exactly what you're saying there, where we hit the bottom energetically, that all of the crap that we've been saving up, we seem to have to face it simultaneously. So it's kind of like getting yourself organized. But the vortex moment comes in, and this is where it's like time is of no relevance, because time has got no reference point in this. That you come up against your problems, you come up against your issues, and as you're having these issues, your brain's got to process what you've got to go through. So you'll search through your toolbox, and you will see how you cope with things, how you as a person deal with incidents in your life. Then that's being processed. On the other side of that is when you've done it, when you've solved it. Now, the bit in the middle, when you've recognized the problem to when you get to the success part, is quite a big gap. Now, it can be a matter of minutes, it can be hours, it can be weeks, it can be months. But while you're in that vortex moment, I always imagine it to be like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz when she stood there in that cyclone, when all of the bits of crap are flying at her, but she doesn't know quite at that moment how to process that. So she's stuck in that vortex moment. So I've actually asked people who are far more cleverer than what I am, how do you deal with these moments? And to be truthful, the research that I've done, the answers have been inconclusive, because even people that are really, really intelligent and know how the mind works more in depth than what I do have said, you just have to be in that moment. So all I can offer on that is being present. You know, sit there, no regrets, and going like what I call post-morteming, where you're going back over things and wishing that you dealt with things differently, or you wish you'd have had an opportunity to do or say something entirely different to what you did, is to pull out of that moment and sit in that dark spot. Because if you're at rock bottom, there is only one place you can go, and that is upwards. So what do you need when you go on a journey? So before you go out in your car, you've got to know that you've got your keys with you, you've got your purse, you've got whatever with you, and you're doing prep work. Have I got enough fuel to get to that next point? So we've got to do all of the prep work in the vortex moment without actually knowing what the ending's going to be. Once you've got through that moment of prep, then you can go move towards that success. But it's just being in that difficult time where you are in that moment of fear, you're in that moment of worry, of how do you process that moment in the vortex. And to be truthful, it's not one of these things that I find easily solvable, but it's one thing that I consistently work on. I know that you mentioned you saw your granddad on a building site. How did you learn to be a medium? Both my hubby and right. So this depends on what your perception is of a medium, right? So for me, a medium is a conduit for the spiritual world. So I've described this as seeing the TV program of Catchphrase, say what you see. So as I sit with people, you've got to sort of get the process around. If you've got an analytical mind, you will sometimes struggle with the concept of just flowing with stuff. I know I do. I have to be very focused on just letting things flow through me and not overthinking and overanalyzing, because what a medium does is they're like a tube, a funnel from the outside world, you know, sights unseen. But there are very different types of mediums. So they've got the 5 senses, which are clairs, which means clear. And then you've got people who can see, people who can smell, people who can taste, people who can sense that vibrational frequency around them. What I found with my own personal journey was that I would get song lyrics, I would get smells, I would get these sensory feelings. The seeing of my granddad and other people like that has been very rare over the years. So over the course of that 10 years, I could say to you, I could probably think of about 4 occasions in those 10 years where I've literally seen people from the spirit world, because it takes a lot of energy. What I get is in my mind's eye, and this is where all of your mediumship builds up. But it's like with anything, you need to put time in. So when I come upstairs in this room that I'm broadcasting from, this is known as the time for you room, because we sit in here and just let the energy flow. And I will deliver a message based on whatever is going through my mind, or what is ever that is being brought around my senses. And what I find funny is that as I've been doing this over the years, is that people will go, how did you know that? Or, you know, that was a lucky guess. Right. If it's a lucky guess and it's a trick, please tell me how I'm doing it, because I'd like to be able to do it more consistently, because truthfully, it comes in and it amazes me. If I'm on a run of luck, bloody hell, I'm riding that for as long as I can do, because I sense that I need to switch off my analytical mind and then just deliver anything that's not my thoughts. But it's all going on around this third eye area, and there is many different ways of doing it. So the sense of both your hubby having strange happenings occurring to you is, I always put when I'm doing work with people, ask the question and then what? So Spirit are trying to connect with me. In fact, I have got, just to prove the point here, on my table, I always have a book. There's pieces of paper all over my house where if I get a connection with the spirit world, I'll write it down. The thing is, I think where people get bogged down is they're always looking for an answer. I don't. I just write the stuff down. You know, I will get something coming through, and then the next reading that I do, the next demonstration, something like that, that will then be repeated in my mind. Oh, right, okay, that needs to be passing across. And I always bring in humor with it as well, because I always say to people, right, don't get bogged down by any of this, but take the person home with you because somebody's delivering you a message. So I just absolutely I'm honored to be that link between the spiritual world and what I call the 9 to 5 humdrum world. And the thing is, I think that a lot of people, I'm not a teacher, so this is just out of my mindset, how I process and how I deal with this sort of thing. So I just feel that I'm here to speak for the energy. Right, it's not about me and what I think and what I consider. It's about me being the link man for that connection with you guys. And I stick with catchphrase and just say what I see. So there we go. Right. So yeah. Right. And the thing is that I want to bring up about that. Right now, there'll be people there that when they have their spiritual development moments, that they will be looking to see who their guide is, who their people is. Now, I don't know if I'm different to other people, but I don't see my granddad as my main guide. I have a spiritual team. Now, I believe, this is my belief system, that you have a guide and a gatekeeper that are with you from birth to the moment that you shuffle off this mortal coil. They could have form. They might not have had the face on this earth plane, but what I found is when I've managed to get into meditation, that spirit will show you and what you can comprehend. So if you've got, like, for instance, for me, where you've got the wolf guide might not be a wolf, but I can comprehend as a human being what a wolf guide might look like. So they'll bring that through, because that brings me comfort, and I am able to work with that energy. But the thing is, I've seen this guy anyway, so it's kind of a strange one there. But I have two very strong guides that come in, and animal guides as well. Now, in regards to my granddad was, as I say, was an army sergeant major, very disciplined. We didn't have the strongest relationship. We just didn't, because we're generations apart. It's part of the, sort of his generation that you're seen and not heard type of thing. So not all of my memories of my granddad are absolutely brilliant, because I've grown tired of trying to be put into a box. I've never been very good at that at the best of times, where you sort of class that you've got to go and sit over there, you've got to do this. I'm not very good with discipline. I'm noisy. I'm a vibrant character. I come out and I shout, and that's just me. I'm a presence in a room. So having my granddad around that was more like would want everything sort of steady, that weren't me. So when he passed, one of the first messages that I got from the spiritualist church was he was rewriting what he called karmic debt, that he was coming through to help me deal with other things that were going on in my life. Now, where I put him, so if you imagine you've got your guide and your gatekeeper that guide you through all of your work. And then my granddad comes in what I call my cheerleaders, because if they're coming through, there is a message that goes out to the spirit world that to work with me, we've got to have a positive interaction. Right? We've got to have had time together, that I would treasure. Because if I'm taking advice from you, I only want for the highest and greatest good for other clients. But what tends to happen as well, if you imagine opening your door and saying to spirit, right, let all my family come through, let all the people through that have passed the spirit, it's like a free-for-all. So my wolf guide works on the doors. He's like the bouncer. My granddad tends to come in when somebody needs discipline, because that links with his army service. But he's a cheerleader. So I've got my spiritual team, and then I've got my granddad. Now, a lot of people think, oh, you know, my mum's coming down to help me. She will 100% link with you if mum's in spirit, if you want that connection. But she's not your main guide or guard, but she will walk alongside you. So I just thought I'd separate the two. And remember, this is my perception, because I am not a teacher. This has just been my experience over the 9 or 10 years since I've been doing this, and the 6 years that I've been on stage and doing the work that way. That is how I build up, that I call in my guides and inspirers. I work with the angels, and then bring in my cheerleaders, you know, the family and the people that have gone before. And it just works for me that way. So, right, so there we go. Let me just look at that. I sat with my wife at our sister-in-law's and felt my brother-in-law had passed away in 2009. Come in the room, sit down, and then a big smell of tobacco. No one smoked in our house. Right. So one of my heroes, Andrew, was my father-in-law. And my father-in-law passed away 3 years ago yesterday. Massive loss. Massive loss. You know, meant more to me than my own father. Has guided me through a lot. Just a rock, foundations, you know, and it's one of those things that I don't think I've even started to process. I don't think I ever will fully process it, the fact that he's not here anymore. But the thing with him was he was an immensely strong man. He was an ex-prison officer himself. He'd done quite a number of years in there. Anyway, towards the end of his life, for about the last sort of 6 or 7 years, he deteriorated with MS, and which brought on dementia, and he had the last sort of 6 years in a home. Now, me and my wife would sit there, and obviously he's going to come through for his daughter if you're a spiritual person. And he in this home, these homes, if you've ever been into these homes, sometimes they have a very distinct smell. And we sat there one night, and he brought what I perceived as his energy around, but it was his smell from that room that he was in. Now, the strange thing was he was still alive at that point. So there's research been done where from spiritual people that reckon that when people are on the way out, they may well sort of go in and out of body and visit around people to check that they're all right. Now, whether that's in sleep state or whether that's just that they're resting and they've lowered their vibration enough to leave the body behind, I'm not entirely sure. But what I do know when my father-in-law comes in is he was a smoker himself. I have never smoked. So when you get the smell of cigarette smell in your house, you'll have a look round and see if it's, you know, like coming through the windows, because I live on a big housing estate, whether it's sort of drifting in from somewhere. But the vast majority of the time, it is a link into the spiritual world that they're connecting with you. And what they will do is they will connect with your strongest memory of how you remember them. So you'll get a lot of mediums that will tell you that bringing in grandma's scent. What we're looking at is a memory link, you know, so that we can make that connection. So often when people are struggling to make the connection with people that pass to the spirit world, what I say is ask out loud. Don't be frightened about asking the spirit world out loud to bring you something that only you can connect with. You know, don't involve the sort of outside source of the medium or the reader or anything like that. Look at what brings you comfort. Look how you would remember somebody, because what we're looking at doing is raising the vibration all of the time. Like with my own grieving journey, I'm never going to look and say I'm going to be at a point where I'm going to be accepting of it. But I just hope that as the years progress, that it's not as painful. I don't know whether that'll be the case or not, because there's been instances over this last year or so where I would have loved to have had him in my corner and just gone and sat and chatted crap with him, because that's what I needed. And my own father passed away 5 weeks ago, and we didn't have the greatest of relationships. So it's that sudden realization at times that as the adult male, I'm the only one left now. So if I want advice and guidance, I've got to look within, which sometimes is a really good thing, because at the end of the day, you are the vehicle, you are the co-creator of your own life. So sometimes you have to, like was said on one of those earlier comments there, get to those depths before you realize, right, this is as far as I'm going along this venture. This is now where I want to structure a new path going forward. So for me, even when you hit those dark spots, it's often a great place to start. So I hope that made a bit of sense. Right, guys. So any other questions for me? I think we've answered that. So I've got 8 people on at the moment. Has anybody got any questions or wants any cards or anything like that? Because this is a nice, gentle, laid back energy to work in, because this is a lovely, gentle energy to work in, because I say I've took the option tonight to just promote on the YouTube channel. I shall go back to at some point linking into Facebook, because I've got over 2,000 followers on there that have been built up over the years. But I also had to look at my own energy as well, because it's been a very busy season. I say I've had a bereavement, and I've got all of that sort of thing to deal with. So this is where I would say to you guys, when you're watching, don't attempt to conquer the world when you're tired. You know, have a look at how you're feeling, what your energy bar is like. You know, take some time out for self-care. When my sister passed, I saw the silver cord broken. She said goodbye and passed a couple of hours later. Wow, what an experience that must have been. I must admit, I was not present when my father-in-law passed away. He was, as I say, in the home, and it was during COVID. So we got a phone call to say that he'd gone. We'd had a phone call a few hours before to say that he was possibly on the way. And then it was that horrible moment when when we got that phone call. It was not pleasant. And then with my father the other week, I'd been out for the day, and we got back from wherever we'd been and got a phone call to shoot over the other side of the estate, because I don't live far away from my mum and dad, to find him dead in the chair. So I've never actually been in a room when somebody's actually gone. You know, come through very quickly soon after with certain smells, certain phrases and things like that, that if I'm chosen to deliver that message, I'm absolutely honoured. But I tend to find that for me, it's just like a week later. I did a reading for somebody once, and I just kept repeating this same phrase. And I said, "Can you connect with it?" And she said, "Well, that can't be right." I said, "Why?" She said, "Because he only passed 3 days ago." And I said, "Well, the thing that I've been always taught when I'm working is that there is no time frame in the spirit world. So once they've sort of passed from this frequency to the next frequency, they're pretty much free to do whatever they want. So if there's an urgency for them to get back, they will do, because they're certainly not going to take account of this man-made structure that we live in with the time, the clocks and things like that. It's just energy, and they're coming through that curtain, if you like, and they will deliver, because if they loved you while they were here and you got a great relationship with them while they're here, you can be damn sure that when they pass to the spirit world, they're going to be in the same place. Same way as if they were grumpy buggers. Like if I'm going to be in that place where I'm coming back, they'll know me because of my big gob and grumpiness, and I should make sure there'll be no doubts in my mind. So I just trust that when you connect in with people's energies, that you're in the right place. As long as you're not making a sport out of it, as long as you're not demeaning or decrying people's feelings. And I did say to somebody once, I said, just imagine this, right? Because somebody sat with me, there was obviously in a state of need. They wanted some sort of closure, but didn't believe in anything that I did. And when they went away, they said to me, right, my feedback, can I feed back to you? And I always welcome feedback. And what they said was, you're very honest and blunt, but you told us you was going to be like that. But I didn't expect you to connect in with the information that you gave me. And I said, thank you for that, because I appreciate honesty. I said, has it made you feel better? Well, a little bit. I'm still not sure. And I went, that's fine. I said, but I want you to consider something before you go away, right? There's a lot of negative press that goes on around mediums and psychics and people that tell the stories that they tell. And I'm not going to defend anybody in the way that they work, because that's down to them to answer their own karma. But what I am going to say is, just imagine for a second that I come out here on this means and I'm selling my product, that I'm a medium and I'm a reader. As I've said to you, the medium is the link rather than saying it's anything special. So I'm not a man of ego. But imagine I've got somebody that's coming, there's a line of people that are coming there that have got upset, they've got grief. And their perception is I'm making all of this crap up. And then when they go away and the feedback is, thank you for that, I'm still not sure, but I feel a lot better. I would quite happily take the insult that I'm making it all up. Because if they've gone away feeling a little bit more uplifted than when they sat down, then I'm happy. I'm also very happy in my in the strength of my belief system that I am doing a medium's work. But there's always the analytical me in me that will go, where did that come from? The answer is always going to be the same because it came from the spiritual world in my belief. I don't make anything up. And if I don't understand it, I pass that back to either the client or to the spiritual world to try and get an understanding. There's only so long that you can go on about it with people, because if you're one of these people that it needs to be absolutely 100% direct, and the message like we're delivering something like we're speaking now on this means, and that's the only way that you'll accept it, you may have a longer journey than others. I'm quite content to, like we're saying on one of the earlier messages there, that when there's a smell of cigarette smoke in there, I know who that's attached to, and I'm comfortable with that. That gives me my better feeling. So I hope that sort of explains that a little bit. Right. People can have a foot in both camps near the end of I agree with you. Yeah, as we said there. Right. So let's do a couple of cards, because say we'll come off, because there's 9 people on, and I'm very, very grateful for that. If you guys could, if you haven't already, like and subscribe. I'm going to do a couple of cards here. We'll see what falls out. And this is not mediumship. I want to make that clear. I'm not, I haven't done the appropriate work to switch on tonight, because I've been fiddling about trying to get various things done on the YouTube channel to tighten it up, crisp it up a little bit, and get new content on there. So I kind of lost track of time a little bit. So I wanted more prep work. So this is purely tarot. And if you don't know the difference between tarot and mediumship, tarot is when you're working with the cards and your tools and the energy around your clients. And mediumship is when you're, as I say, the conduit for the spiritual people. So 3 cards have fallen out for you, Maureen. Right. Now, this is where I form my little story. So I've got 3 cards. I've got the 4 of Cups. If we can just get that. So because it's green, you see, we lose that because I'm sat in front of a green screen. I've got the Ace of Pentacles, and I've got the Knight of Pentacles. So a little bit of jiggery pokery there as we switch the cards around. And the 4 of Cups. All right. So the 4 of Cups, think about emotions. Think about 4 as a stability, because I always visualize 4 as 1 in each corner. But we can stabilize good things and we can stabilize bad things. So the 4 of Cups is just this air of indifference. Cups are all about emotions. So I call this being in the state of meh. All right. There's nothing particularly wrong. There's nothing really that you're upset about, but it's kind of like you've lost your steam. You've lost your gas. You've lost your zest for life. So this is saying, what cup are you drinking out of? So as we get to the top there, there's somebody sat there with an air of indifference, boredom, meh, whatever you want to call it, with drinking out of a large cup. Now, I've said this times many when I'm reading for people. What would you rather drink out of? Something that's pleasant tasting or the same old crap? Now, this is where we've got to sort of go against the grain a little bit and just go, right, this particular stuff that's going on around me, I'm no longer happy with it. But to get from the place where you recognize, this is kind of like going into the vortex moment, where you being in that place where you're not happy with something, you've got to employ tactics and something different to get a different outcome from what you previously had. So this card for me is stepping out of that air of indifference and that boredom, and basically taking charge of your own emotions and just going, right, I've drawn a line under this. This is now time to get myself moving. So it brings in the opportunity to change. So that's where we're at with that one. Now, the Ace of Pentacles, right? Pentacles, money, finances, riches, enrichment, and in this case, what is known as non-material wealth. Non-material wealth is something that can happen to you, like training courses, new ways of learning, new ways of doing things that will prepare you for some time down the line where it will benefit you. So it will maybe draw in more money. So knowledge and things coming in. It's also about new opportunities, work offers, business offers, things like that, but something there that will benefit you in the longer term. But it's like with anything, with it being an ace, we've got to get out of that sort of stilted mindset and go from the thought process to the action stage. The signs are really good because the Knight of Pentacles in the tarot deck, Knights are traditionally about action, but there's an exception to most rules. So the Knight of Pentacles is sat in a field on his horse with grass growing around him, quite contented. But he's worked to get into that position. So whereas all of the other Knights are quite action space and we've got to get them going, you've had the ace there, which is giving you the nudge to take yourself forward. And what the Knight is saying, that if you do that and take up on these offers, that you will be in a position in the next sort of 5 or 6 months where you are waiting for your crop to ripen, that you are going to get the just, the just rewards from everything that you've put into place. So what I feel for you, Maureen, is that over these next 6 months, assuming that we get out of the phase and start to put plans into action, that your money is going to increase. So that's my interpretation. I hope that's okay for you. All right, Andrew. Right, Andrew, let's see what comes out for you. So I should give these cards a shuffle. And I have so many people that sit with me and go, I'm not very good at shuffling. Truthfully, neither am I. I'm a medium. I'm a performer. I am not a croupier. So I have no need to be good at shuffling. So I don't worry about it. 2 cards have come out for you, Andrew. So we've got strength. And if we can just get that in the right frame there again, we've got a lot of green on that. And we've got the Hermit. So strength. Straight away, that what I want to say when I connect in with that card around you, Andrew, is boundaries. It's about putting people in their place and just letting them know how far they can go. So if you've got people being disrespectful or not listening or not willing to discuss, I will get to the point where I'm just going, right, we're going no further with this. The strength card traditionally is about masculine and feminine energies and having that balance. This is quite simple response to this card also as well, about saying that knowing that you've got that strength, it's just sometimes we have to dig really, really deep to use it. I always think about little dogs when I see this card, that if you go up to a little dog that you don't know, the dog will assess you, it'll give you a sniff. And if you pass the test, you can have a fuss with it. If it starts to turn its lip at you a little bit, it should set off an alarm bell in you that we're not going to go any further. If you then put your hand on it and it snaps and bites at you, don't be surprised, because that dog has told you, it's given you a warning, and then it's acted on that warning. So where I feel you're at the moment, we need to have a conversation with somebody and lay some boundaries down, because we're turning the teeth, but there's no follow through from it. So with people, I make it abundantly clear that if we're going down a pathway that I don't want to visit or I'm not willing to look at, I make it very clear that if I'm pushed down there, you can expect a response that you won't like. And the good thing is these days I very rarely have to make that story, because I'll just be like, I'm not interested anymore, and we're moving on from that. So boundaries, and knowing that you've got the strength to make any of these changes that you want to make over these next 3 or 4 months. The Hermit. All right. Now, I've always read this card in the traditional sense that the Hermit is all about introspection, going within and knowing what it is that you want and how you perform on a daily basis. So how do you solve your issues? How do you deal with problems around you? What are the solutions and tactics that you use? And what it says with this wonderful card there is that you've got the guy there with the beard. The beard denotes a length of time. It also talks about wisdom. The light there is lighting up the path. And then the staff there that runs down there is all about the support, something that you can lean on. Well, the thing that you can always lean on and rely on is yourself and your inner being. But sometimes we have to take a step back before we can move forward to assess what's actually going on around us. So the new thing came in with the hermit. The hermit is basically what he's doing is contemplating his next move and he's lighting up the pathway. Now he's actually got two choices when he goes on this pathway. Either he can focus that he's on that pathway and that he's got a journey to take and he will arrive at the destination the other side, assuming he concentrates on his path and doesn't get distracted. Or if he can be one of these people that whittles and worries about everything. So they strategize for something that they don't actually want to happen. So what happens is instead of concentrating on the fact that he's got the pathway to walk, he will worry about the narrowness of the path. So for me, this is a very positive and uplifting card about saying, right, concentrate on what you want. Concentrate on lighting up that path. Know that you've got the knowledge and the wisdom. Don't be distracted by other people's thoughts and opinions. And you will end up at the destination of your choosing. If not, don't be afraid to change paths. Right, so let me just have a look. Right. Have you encountered any negative or bad spirit energies? Do you know what? Truthfully, once. Right. And I was at a reading. So for anybody that's watching this, I'm from the Lincolnshire area. I'm in Lincoln. I did a house party at Newark. And my belief system is that when I'm working with spirit, that I'm bulletproof, that I put enough protection around me, put the intent out there to be looked after by my angels and my guides and inspirers. And I was doing a reading for a lady, and I always explain to people that I only work for the highest and greatest good. So coming through to me, if there's anything there where there is something that feels a little bit off or a little bit angry, or there's somebody nasty or somebody that's detrimental to the person that I'm reading for, in my own mind, I have to do something. So what I hear in my ears is a chain link fence rattling. That's a sure sign that my wolf guide is coming round and doing his patrol, and he brings this energy through. And if that energy is not to go through, I'll ask the client, do you want to hear from this person? I'll describe what I'm picking up. If they say no, that's it, end of conversation. That energy is then moved on. Now this sneaky little bugger sneaked under the radar, because what my guide also does with a wolf guide is he brings in past animals, so the essence of your pets and things like that. So I described this pet coming through, and then I described the person that was holding the pet when they came through. So they took the pet, and then I watched their body language completely change, that there was a look of fear in their eyes. And I looked and I went and I described what was going through, and I said it's unusual that they managed to get past the guard, but they've been very, very, very sneaky with it, and I don't like their energies. So with your permission, I'm going to move them on. So she said, yes, I know exactly who it is, and I don't want to hear from them, and I don't want anything to do with it. So I'm sat there and I made this decision and asked my guide to shift this energy on. And then I got my arm like that, and it was like that, holding on to me. This energy was not going to leave, and I could physically feel my hand being squeezed. Now, I'm not a weak guy. I've got tremendous hand strength still, big gym work. I've done lots of heavy work. So to hold on to me like that, it takes quite a lot of strength. So I said to this person that's coming through, get off me. And the grip got tighter. Get off me. I says, because if you don't, this reading goes no further. Then, me being me, I forgot my manners and told him to off. I said, because if you love this person as much as you're saying, you will have listened to the fact of what she said about you, that he was controlling, he was a narcissist, he was nasty. And you come through to apologize, and she's told you she don't want your apology. Now go. And then the grip loosened. So I think live reading, that's the only time I had that. I had a similar experience when I went down to Glastonbury to the Abbey the other week, where I was in there and I went into the kitchen area and I heard in my head, get out, get out. And I'm like laughing because I couldn't see anything. 5 minutes later, I'm outside nearly heaving my guts up because this energy had got within my aura space. And it was just a little nudge to me to just say, right, I don't own that space, and I wouldn't go back in there. I didn't like it. As soon as I walked in there, I didn't like the energy. But because of my belief system in that I only work for the highest and greatest good, to answer that question directly, I very, very rarely encounter anything like that because I just don't want to. Right, I would love a card. Nicola, thanks very much for your patience. We are coming towards the end of this. So, guys, if you've got any more questions, please let me know. And we'll see where we go. Right, so Nicola, I've just noticed there with you, Jackie, that I will put that. I will put you up there and do your reading as well. I say I just like this gentleness of this energy. I'm going to come off because as well I want a cup of tea and I want some food. And I think I've done my job today with YouTube. I've published a couple of things there, one from the prison service and one something there that just inspired me. So Nicola, 2 cards for you. Right, now another lesson for anybody who's looking. 3 cards that tend to scare people from the tarot deck. And I could tell you my experience of one that I was told, but I won't because I don't want to scare people, because I thought the explanation now that I'm a little bit older was a load of shite anyway. But there's 3 cards that tend to scare people. That's the Death card, which never means literal death. The Devil card, which talks about self-enslavement and what you're chaining your thoughts and your aspirations to. It's like restrictions. And you look at the Tower card. Now, the Tower card is my personal favorite because I do not talk about the future, because if I got anything for the future, it's a snapshot. So my belief system is when the Tower comes out, the Tower is about being in this now moment and making those changes. The energy around the Tower is chaotic, right? And that is my beautiful Tower card, my personal favorite. So if you look at this card, there's a naked person leaping out of the window of what looks like to be an exploding tower. You look for the story behind this. So the good thing is to say to you that you're not in any risk of anything coming in that's negative. You're in the middle of dealing with it now, or the aftermath of something. And it doesn't matter whether it's current or whether it's the impact of things that have happened in the recent past, or even the not so recent past. Something around you is having an impact. Now, what we're looking at is that all of this sort of where it's exploding and blowing up is the chaos and the difficulties and the things like that it's presenting. What we're looking at with this person coming out the window is that, assuming that he lands okay, he's going to get up and he's going to start again. So this card is about tearing down old structures, old thought patterns, old beliefs and things like that, and starting again. Now, to say that you will come off without being impacted by it is daft. But underneath, and this is what the nakedness is drawn to talk about, is that you will still be in your truest essence. So looking at this moment in time, once you've got past this period of chaos, what do you want in your life? What truly represents you? So this, for me, is brilliant, because if there's that crap floating in and around me and I am in that vortex moment, I'm going to have a cup of tea. Right? I'm going to just have this cup of tea while I sit there and process what is going on around me. If it works for me, then I'll use it again. If it doesn't, it's going in the effort bucket in the corner. So this is tearing down, like I say, old structures and coming through a period of chaos. And I feel that it's around you now. I feel a little bit unbalanced and a little bit ungrounded around your energy as I'm reading for you. So, the basic thing with anything is putting that one foot in front of the other until you've got a pathway that you can actually walk on. So this is prep work for you going into the new year, of taking away any of that old stuff that's affecting you, that's impacting you, and rebuilding so that you can be on a pathway of choice rather than being one that you're forced into. The 3 of Pentacles. So anything to do with Pentacles, money, finances, riches, enrichment, and non-material and material wealth. The 3 there is like the master craftsman. So what he's doing there is he's showing a sense of pride in his ability to make money. So if you're looking at a new job or you're looking at a new avenue, it's well starred that you will find this avenue as you go along over these next few months. What I would say with it is make sure that it's a direction of choice rather than something that you're forced into. and use your skills and talents to make that path more comfortable as you walk down it. And don't be afraid to let go of things that aren't working for you and have that lovely sense of pride. So I hope that makes sense for you. Right, so one more, and what I will do then, guys, is get off, and thank you for your indulgence with me. I really appreciate your time. And if you could like it, subscribe if you haven't already, that would be really appreciated. Give me a thumbs up in the video, because from what I've been reading today, everyone helps. So I'm a novice. I'm doing my level best to learn as I go along. I'm doing a lot of research because my season, in a sense, now doesn't start again until the end of January. So this is my ideal opportunity to learn and hopefully progress this channel. And I do have a longer term aim of monetizing it. So I will make this the last card there for you, Jackie. Hope you're still there. Make sure. And say thank you very much for tuning in, guys. I really appreciate that. One more there as we fall out. Right. So, Jackie, what this is talking about is purely financial. Right. It's about, because we've got 2 Pentacles cards there. So for you, I've got the 6 of Pentacles and I've got the Queen of Pentacles. And we just get that so that it's just slightly in line, because a lot of green on there. Both the cards are green there. So emotionally charged there, I feel, around you as well, because I just had to take this really deep breath. I felt really like quite overwhelmed at this moment in time. So this here for me is about the opportunity to do a financial stock take. See whereabouts you are with your money and your finances. Get yourself in that place where you're now on a level footing. This card is known as gifts and generosity, which in itself is absolutely wonderful, because it says to me that money and finances will be in a place where you can invest in yourself and you can do a bit more of what you love in life rather than be stuck. I always look at it on both sides, because we've got to have balance. And I look around the people that, when I've got money, which is very rare, when I've got money around me, who's there with me? And when I ain't got money, who's also there with me? So for me, this card is not giving away all of your money, your finances, your time and your life's energy without getting some sort of payback from it. So things are on the up, things are bringing in upliftment, but just look how much of yourself you're giving away to certain things that are going on around you. And as with any investment, always weigh up whether it's worth it or not. When it brings in the Queen of Pentacles there, so the Queen, we look at the Queen as an authority figure. Pentacles, money, finances, riches, enrichment, material wealth and non-material wealth. Now, this lady is the boss. She's the sort of person that's good with figures. She's good with money. So getting over that over-generous state, maybe where we're giving too much away, this is the lady there that's now taking charge of all of her financial affairs. She will be putting steps into place towards her retirement. She will be putting things there that benefit her. She likes the finer things in life, but with her being earthbound, she also puts the procedures and things into place where she benefits the most from it. So for me, just the feeling around the psychic vibration around you is dealing with your nerves, looking at where you are financially and looking what you want to invest in the future. But like with anything, because I'm just a psychic worker here, always make sure that you do your research. You are not fated to do anything that I've mentioned on here. So guys, we've come to the end of this broadcast at just over an hour and 13 minutes. And like I was explaining to somebody the other day, I was never taught how to officially end broadcasts. So what I'm going to say is, as I say, thank you very much for tuning in and spending some of your valuable life's hours with me, talking about this matter spiritual, which I absolutely love, and also just taking time out of your day to spend with me. I'm really appreciative of that. So I will endeavour to come on as often as I can, and there'll be lots more content on here that comes in depending on how I'm influenced by spirit world and the rest of my occurrences in life. If you'd like a book, you can always message me about my book, Graceful Thoughts. There's more of those still kicking about. And other than that, I'll just say thank you very much and much love to you guys. And I will see you on the next one. Thank you.